What happens when we stop playing as humans and start seeing the world through the eyes of a feline? Welcome to City Gamer. In this industry, humans usually dictate the rules. Move, jump, fight. But cats have introduced a fascinating variable into game design. Organic verticality, curiosity as a mechanic, and a way of interacting with the environment that defies traditional conventions. Today, we're going to analyze the most influential protagonists of the feline genre. I don't just want to list titles. I want to explore how, from the 8-bit era to today's most complex genetic simulation systems, the cat has gone from being a simple decorative sprite to becoming a pure level design tool. We're going to go through a top 10 that ranges from retro pillars that defined urban chaos to indie projects that are redefining what we expect from a movement simulator. For this analysis, I've left out any major plot spoilers, focusing exclusively on technical excellence, the innovation of their systems, and what each one contributes to our understanding of game design. If you've ever wondered what makes a game masterful when the protagonist decides when and how to follow your orders, this is the video for you. Adjust your gear. Let's begin. If we enjoy games today where urban exploration is key, it's because in 1983, Alley Cat taught us what it meant to move in a hostile vertical environment. The technical analysis, developed by Bill Williams and published by Synapse Software for the Atari 8-bit and later for PC Booter. This title is a masterclass in creative limitation. In an extremely limited memory space, the game managed to implement a series of mechanics that we now take for granted in modern games. Dynamic verticality. Unlike the linear platformers of the time, Alley Cat used a single-screen structure with multiple height levels. The player had to jump between trash cans and windows, forcing them to calculate distances and reaction times with absolute precision. Environmental AI. The stage elements, the patrolling dog, the sweeping brooms, or objects falling from windows, were not just decoration. They acted as dynamic obstacles that constantly forced the player to adjust their trajectory. Mission design. Gameplay loop. The game established a simple but addictive cycle. Infiltrate a house, complete a mini-game like catching mice or avoiding the owners, and get out before time ran out. This quick mission structure was a precursor to how modern games manage pacing. Why is it important today? Although visually a product of its time, Alley Cat understood before anyone else that the appeal of being a cat in a game isn't combat, but mischief and agility. The fact that you can see the influence of its movement mechanics in modern feline exploration titles proves that well-executed game design is timeless. At first glance, Gato Roboto might seem like a simple retro homage to 8-bit classics, but beneath that minimalist black and white aesthetic lies an outstanding exercise in level design and game feel. The technical analysis. Here you're not controlling an ordinary cat, but Kiki, who inside his mech suit becomes a combat and exploration machine. This title is a perfect case study on the duality of abilities. The state switching system. The genius of Gato Roboto lies in the constant switching between two states. The cat outside the suit, fragile, fast, able to pass through tiny spaces, and the cat in the mech, armored, with firepower but limited mobility. This forces the player to reconfigure their playstyle every few minutes, creating a very dynamic flow of combat and puzzle solving. Space economy. The game is a lesson in how to maximize a compact map. By using a two-tone color palette, black and white, the developer achieves impeccable visual readability. This allows the player to instinctively identify platforms, dangers, and secrets, even in the most frenetic action moments. Frustration management. As a Metroidvania, checkpoint design is critical. The game punishes just enough to maintain tension, but rewards exploration with upgrades that truly change how you interact with enemies, fulfilling the premise of feeling powerful despite your size. Why is it important today? Gato Roboto is fundamental because it shows us that in indie development, technical constraint is a virtue. You don't need hyper-realistic graphics to create an immersive experience. By limiting colors, the development team could focus 100% on control fluidity, ensuring that jumping and shooting feel heavy in the mech and light outside of it. Peace Island is probably one of the most interesting design experiments on this list. Here, the premise isn't combat, but observation and narrative autonomy. The technical analysis. This title is an open-world proposal designed from a perspective rarely seen in the industry. That of a cat who isn't trying to save the world, but simply to exist in it after the mysterious disappearance of humanity. Multi-perspective. Ensemble of protagonists. Unlike other games where you control a single avatar, here the player alternates between 9 different cats. Technically, this means each character has its own stats, personality, and most importantly, its own exploration range. This is game design based on specialization. While some cats may be better at climbing high structures, others specialize in investigating underground areas or enclosed spaces. Passive environmental narrative. The game moves away from heavy scripting. The story isn't told to you by human characters through dialogue. You discover it through interaction with the remnants of civilization. Level design in Peace Island functions as a large environmental puzzle, where the player must read the surroundings to understand what happened. Environmental simulation. Being an open world, the main technical challenge lies in environmental persistence. The weather, the day/night cycle, and the responses of other wildlife create a sense of a living ecosystem that reacts to your steps. Why is it important today? Peace Island is vital to understanding where the creature simulator genre is heading. It shows that you can sacrifice speed and frantic combat in favor of atmospheric immersion. Cat Quest 2 is not only a charming game, it's a technical demonstration of how to balance a robust progression system with precise movement controls. While many RPGs get lost in complicated menus, here everything revolves around fluidity. The technical analysis. Developed by the Gentle Bros, this title stands out for its simplified yet deep interaction design, a difficult balance to achieve in the genre. Twitch Action Combat System. The key here is the dodge and attack system. The game forces you to learn enemy patterns and manage your energy, mana, to cast spells efficiently. Unlike a traditional hack and slash, every move matters. A poorly executed dodge leaves you vulnerable, which raises the difficulty without artificially inflated stats. Connected world design. The map of Cat Quest 2 is a lesson in pacing. It's a compact, open world where there's always something to do. A dungeon to clear, gear to upgrade, or a side quest to unlock. The learning curve is steady, allowing the player to feel real power progression from the first hours to the end. Asymmetric co-op, cat and dog. The inclusion of a canine companion is not just aesthetic. It allows mechanical cooperation where both players must coordinate their magical and combat abilities. Boss design is specifically planned for both players to support each other, creating situations where strategy is more important than brute force. Why is it important today? It's the definitive example of how to make a pick-up-and-play game that at the same time respects the depth of the RPG genre. Cat Quest 2 proves that colorful aesthetics are not at odds with solid statistical systems.
Warriors, wind your keys and prepare for battle!
Night in the Woods is a triumph of writing in video games. Through Mae Borowski, an anthropomorphic cat who drops out of college to return to her hometown. The game uses the animal mask to explore incredibly complex themes that if handled with human characters, would have lost much of their symbolic impact. The technical analysis. More than for its platforming mechanics, this game stands out for its branching narrative design and atmosphere management. Anthropomorphism as a narrative tool. The game uses the fact that its characters are animals to establish immediate archetypes, allowing the player to understand the personalities of Possum Springs inhabitants before they even say a word. This narrative economy is brilliant. Visual design communicates identity before the script. Space and routine design. The town is not just a map, it's a living entity. The game encourages exploring the same routine day after day, allowing the player to notice subtle changes in the environment and in people. This is a persistent environmental narrative mechanic where level design reinforces the feeling of stagnation or change felt by the protagonist. Mini games as expression. Unlike other games where mechanics serve to fight, here they serve to express May's mental state. Playing bass, stealing from a store, or breaking things are activities that feel visceral and define who she is better than any expository dialogue. Why is it important today? Night in the Woods is a necessary reminder that video games are, above all, a medium for emotional communication. It teaches us that you can have an extremely simple game system and still achieve a depth that few AAA titles manage. If Night in the Woods was a lesson in narrative, Little Kitty, Big City is a masterclass in animal behavior applied to video game design. Here, the goal is not to tell an epic story, but to capture the spirit of what it means to be a cat. The technical analysis. This game shines in its ability to turn mundane actions into highly rewarding game mechanics. Physical interaction systems. The game isn't just about moving, it's about interacting. The physics system that lets you knock objects off shelves, trip pedestrians, or catch things in your mouth is so well implemented that mischief becomes the main objective. Level design is filled with opportunity points for the player to unleash natural cat behaviors. Organic verticality. Unlike traditional platformers with fixed routes, this game encourages free climbing. The cat feels agile, with a weight and inertia that communicate its anatomy. The way you can explore the environment, jumping on boxes, roofs, or hiding in alleys, feels like a natural extension of the animal's curiosity. Curiosity as a gameplay driver. The game structures its missions not through intrusive menus, but through curiosity. The map design is an interconnected network of small visual rewards and social tasks, helping other animals, that reward the player for exploring every corner, perfectly mimicking the way a cat patrols its territory. Why is it important today? It's the most polished feline everyday life simulator in existence. While other games use the cat as a vehicle for action, here the cat is the mechanic.
Hold the line. We need to push past that sector.
Created by Edmund McMillen, this title is essentially a strategic breeding simulator with a roguelike soul. Here, the cat is not just your avatar. It's a collection of data, hereditary traits, mutations, and statistical potential. The technical analysis. What makes Mugenics such a brilliant piece of design is how it integrates biology, specifically genetic inheritance, as the central engine of its mechanics. Complex hereditary systems. Each cat has a family tree. Physical traits and special abilities are not random in the long term. They follow inheritance laws that the player must learn to manipulate. This is a design where success doesn't depend on your reflexes, but on your ability to manage bloodlines and select the best traits for upcoming challenges. Resource and mutation management. The game is unforgiving. You must decide which cats to send into dungeons, which function as a turn-based tactical RPG, and which to keep in the breeding ground to ensure the next generation is more resilient or capable. Managing this personal ecosystem is a risk-reward mechanic unmatched by other games on this list. Systemic versus narrative design. Unlike other games that tell a linear story, here you write the story through your crosses and your mistakes. If a cat dies in combat, you lose not just a unit, but a genetic line you spent hours optimizing. This creates an emotional connection born from statistical investment, not from script. Why is it important today? Mugenics is a reminder that video games can be powerful tools for visualizing complex systems.
What an incredible performance from both teams today!
Before we get to our podium, we need a pause. While preparing this top, legendary titles emerged. However, not all pass our technical filter. In this analysis, we've been strict with the concept of exclusive and biological protagonism. First, Pokémon. Although creatures like Meowth or Sprigatito are iconic, they don't qualify because they're just one option within a massive catalog. The game system is not built to emulate feline biology or behavior, but to fit into a type-based tactical combat engine. Here, the cat is a player asset, not the axis of level design. Second, Super Lucky's Tale. There's a common confusion here. Although the game features a family of cats as antagonists, the kitty litter, the protagonist is a fox. As a player, you experience the adversary's perspective, never the feline's. And finally, a curious case, Super Mario 3D World. It's a brilliant game, and the cat suit is one of the most fun mechanics in the franchise. But technically, Mario is not a cat. He's a human in disguise. Cat Mario is a power-up, an aesthetic and functional customization layer on top of a protagonist who retains his human identity. We're not controlling a feline, but a plumber who superficially mimics feline abilities through an external object. For us at City Gamer, the difference is vital. Using feline aesthetics for convenience is not the same as building gameplay based on the nature and essence of the animal. That said, and with our selection criteria clarified, it's time to enter sacred ground. Let's go to the podium. We start with number 3. Known in the West as Pizza Cat, based on the legendary anime series. This Famicom game is a lesson in how to maximize the potential of a license. Forget the typical licensed games of the era that were often mediocre. This is pure action design. The technical analysis. This title stands out for a level architecture that defies the conventions of its time. Asymmetric multiplayer and character selection. What makes it superior to its contemporaries is the character switching system. Each of the 3 feline protagonists has a unique ability that serves not only for combat, but also to interact with the environment and overcome specific sections of the level. This is a design that forces the player to master versatility, not just brute force. Variety of scenarios. The game's pace changes drastically. This alternation of genres within a single technical work is what gives it its cult status. No 2 levels feel the same. Hardware optimization, sprite management, and scrolling speed were, for 1991, a difficult technical ceiling to reach. The fluidity with which special attacks are executed, accompanied by fast and precise animations, makes the control extremely satisfying even today. Why is it important today? Kaiten ni Nintendo is a reminder that if you have a solid core mechanic and level design that encourages the use of differentiated skills, you don't need massive open worlds to create a memorable experience. The year was 2002, and the original Xbox needed a flagship for its platformer genre. Blinx, the Time Sweeper, not only gave us an anthropomorphic cat as a protagonist, but also introduced a mechanic that was revolutionary at the time: time control. The technical analysis. Blinx is not just a conventional platformer. It's a time resource management simulator. Here, game design revolves around a device, the TS-1000 Sweeper, that defines the gameplay. Time manipulation as core mechanic. The player has the ability to pause, rewind, fast forward, record, or slow down time. This radically changes how a level is approached. What in other games is a leap of faith becomes, in Blinks, a puzzle where you can undo a mistake or slow down a projectile to send it back at an enemy. Inventory and environment management. The game integrates a system of trash and time crystals. You must collect objects from the environment to feed your weapon, adding a strategic layer. What time power do you need for this boss or to overcome this obstacle? The balance between exploration and resource usage is constant. Verticality and physics. As a cat, Blinks feels agile, but the game compensates for this agility with enemies that also manipulate time. This creates a dance of projectiles and movements where the player's timing is the only thing separating success from game over. Why is it important today? Blinks is a fundamental historical piece because it proved that felines could lead AAA franchises with highly complex mechanics. It was a pioneer in implementing time manipulation as an integral part of level design, something we would see years later in big-budget titles. Stray is the triumph of specificity. While other games use the cat as a substitute for a human character, Stray builds its entire ecosystem on how a cat perceives and inhabits the world. It is, without a doubt, the definitive technical and atmospheric reference. The technical analysis. What sets Stray apart from any other title is its ontological fidelity. The game doesn't just let you be a cat, it forces you to think like one to progress. Ground-level verticality. The architecture of Stray is a feat most platformers are designed on a human scale. Stray designs its environment on a feline scale. This means that shelves, pipes, ledges, and trash bins are not just decoration. They are roads. Level design is a three-dimensional maze, where the player must learn to read the environment through height, not through the map. Body language as mechanic. Interaction with the world is purely instinctive. The dedicated button to meow, the ability to sharpen your claws on furniture, or the possibility of rubbing against characters, even against robots, are not just aesthetic gestures. They are world-building tools that define the protagonist's relationship with this post-apocalyptic environment. Immersion through constraint. The game wisely limits you. You have no weapons, no impossible double jumps, and you can't open complex doors. This technical limitation forces you to use stealth, agility, and observation. It's a lesson in minimalist design. By taking away human tools, you're forced to adopt feline tools to survive. Why is it important today? Stray not only popularized the cat as a protagonist, it raised public expectations of what animal immersion means in video games. It showed us that a powerful narrative can do completely without dialogue if level design and movement physics are precise enough. At the end of the day, what truly makes a video game unforgettable is not just the code that holds it up, but that unparalleled ability to make us see the world through eyes different from our own. When we set aside our human perspective to adopt the instinct, agility, and curiosity of a feline, we discover a layer of design that goes far beyond the superficial, revealing the true magic of digital interaction. This was our selection of 10 titles that marked a before and after, but the conversation about how nature and technology intertwine is just beginning. I'd love to know which of these games you think managed to capture that feline essence most accurately, or if you believe there's some hidden gem that should be part of future analysis. I invite you to go down to the comment section and share with me what surprised you most about these proposals and what your own experience was like at the controls. If you enjoy these detailed analyses where we break down the architecture behind our favorite stories, I would greatly appreciate it if you leave a like on this video. Subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications is the best way to ensure that we continue building this space dedicated to technique and passion for video games, guaranteeing that you never miss a single one of our releases. For those who want to go one step further and accompany me closely in the evolution of this project, I invite you to consider becoming channel members. By joining, you will have the privilege of accessing all our new videos before their public release, enjoying this content exclusively. It's extremely valuable support that allows us to keep growing and, at a very affordable cost, gives you a leading role in the development and quality of everything we create here. We are only scratching the surface of everything game design has to offer us, and the next technical challenge is already under construction. Keep that curiosity at its peak and get ready, because the next exploration will be even deeper. See you in the next City Gamer video.